Your goal is to gain as much muscle as possible, but how do you get there? How many exercises? What is the volume, the sets, the reps? But more importantly, how many times should you visit the gym to get the best outcome without sacrificing anything? There is no right answer, but if you understand the variables, you can make the best decision for your own individual goals. But what are those? Volume, frequency, recovery, and fatigue. Often these come hand in hand, but something that's highly fatiguing is going to tax your recovery even more. But sometimes an exercise looks easy, but it is even more fatiguing because it trains a muscle that has a slower recovery ability, such as your biceps. So let's look at these variables, starting with volume. The general recommendation by papers is 15 to 20 sets per muscle group per week. But the reason they used this many sets is because the training modality or method was wrong. But we are going to get to that in a second. Volume is not a driver of hypertrophy. You can do 40 sets per muscle group per week and still grow nothing without effort. And that's the concept what most people should wrap their head around. If you push all of your sets to failure, then doing 1 to 2 sets per exercise per training day should be enough, and it is going to be enough. The reason being is that you are getting enough effective, stimulating reps. Those are typically the last 4 to 5, at least that's what we usually say. So if you are 1, 2, 3 reps shy of failure, then you are going to need additional sets to get the same amount of stimulating and effective reps within the same workout. So this is something for you to consider, how hard you are training. You can do 4 sets if you enjoy doing that and you are 2 to 3 reps shy of failure. But if you are going all out, all the way to failure and maybe a bit beyond, then doing 1 to 2 sets is going to be enough as well. Not to mention, you are going to need considerably less volume. And this is why saying somebody is doing something wrong without knowing the context or understanding their intention is probably not the best idea. Frequency refers to the amount of time you train a specific muscle group. This is also good to spread your volume or to add additional volume by training a muscle more frequently, hence the name. But this is where it gets tricky. I like to use frequency for specificity. Once you pass the beginner stage, some muscles are going to pop off while others are going to lag behind. And you can use the priority principle, as in training that first thing in your session, or adding additional training day so you can train that muscle more frequently. And yes, this is going to increase the volume and the effective stimulating reps on that. So if you don't mind adding another day of 1 hour of lifting just to get better result, this variable is going to do that. Muscle recovery. I made a video about this, so if you want to watch it in more details, just go ahead and click on it. But simply put, doing high volume, close to failure, training the muscle at longer muscle length with an exercise that's novel or new, and that's also happen to be a compound exercise, is going to be more taxing on your recovery, especially if it trains a muscle that's susceptible to damage like your biceps. But that is something training frequency can mitigate through repeated bout effect. That means that by repeating the same movement, you are going to get less and less muscle damage for the muscle what you are trying to train. So this means that some muscles can be trained more frequently than others, but these are all controlled by the variables I just listed above, like exercise selection, or high volume, close proximity to failure, and so on and so on. So that means that there is always a way around it. So you can't just say that something is a small muscle, this one is a big muscle, you can solve it. So this will go hand in hand with the other two I just listed before, volume and frequency. And based on these, you can adjust your training. And now comes fatigue. And there are 2 types, the central nervous system one and the peripheral one. And this is the nerdy stuff, so I'm not going to go in depth with this. And I said this before, and I'm going to say this again, and probably in every video. But most of you, including myself, will never have to worry about overtraining and even overreaching. Unless you are doing some really high endurance training, like HIIT training, running, and so on, swimming. I can list it. And I like to auto-regulate things. Go to the gym. If you are progressing and you can perform, then you are recovered enough. And this is as scientific as it gets because we have no way of measuring or seeing how much fatigue you have in your body. So that only means one thing. Apart from doing this, you can't go around it. And based on all of these, you can make your training split. And previously I shared with you that I'm training every day with a 5-day split. Push, pull, leg, arms, legs. And once I finish the days, I just start rotating it again. So my advice to you is to pick a training split that you enjoy doing. It suits your goals, even if it doesn't perfectly match your week. So that means that if you like doing push-pull leg, but you are only going to the gym 4 times per week, you can do that and just repeat it. Or if you are doing upper lower, that doesn't mean that you have to go to the gym 4 times per week. You can still go 5 times per week. And it is true that you can go to the gym 3 times per week, but I probably wouldn't go as far as to say that you will get 80% of the result doing that, because once you pass this beginner phase, if you want to maximize or get 80 to 95% of your gains, you will probably have to go to the gym 4 to 5 times per week. And if you don't mind getting that 5 to 10% extra, then you can go there 6 to 7 times per week. But that's literally just an extra. But only if you don't mind sacrificing that 1 to 2 hours of your day, even if that's on the weekend. That's about it from me, guys. Talk to you soon.